There's something quietly haunting about running through an ancient land, alone, no HUD, no voiceover. Just the soft crunch of snow beneath your paws, the distant howl of wind curling through crumbling ruins, and a single, lingering question echoing in your mind. Why am I the last one left? Spirit of the North. 2 opens not with a bang, but a breath. A slow, deliberate exhale into a world wrapped in silence and sorrow. You're a lone fox, not a hero, not a warrior, just a flicker of life in a place that seems long forgotten. And yet the land remembers. It remembers a darkness buried deep, a name whispered in runes. Grimnir. There's no grand prophecy to follow, no chosen one narrative. Just a quiet mistake, a moment of curiosity that unleashes something ancient and burning. And now you run, not just to survive, but to undo what you've done. What if saving the world means facing what you've broken? Welcome to Spirit of the North 2. A game that whispers more than it shouts, but leaves echoes you'll carry long after the credits roll. The Northern Isles weren't always cursed. Once they were alive, bustling with tribes, rituals, and voices that honored the land. Until a man named Grimnir, once a revered shaman, began to change. Twisted by ambition or corrupted by something, in Darker, he fell. And with him, the world began to crack. You learn this not through exposition dumps, but whispers. Scrolls scattered through moss-covered altars, murals half buried in the snow. It's not spoon-fed. You piece it together, the same way memories surface after loss, slowly, painfully, with gaps that ache. Your role. A Vox, born in the sanctuary, one of the last places untouched by corruption. That is, until you touch the staff. His staff. Not out of malice, not even out of ignorance. Just a misstep. A floorboard breaks, you fall, and the ancient seal shatters. That's all it takes. One breath too close to a sleeping god, the world doesn't end in fire. It starts with embers, lava licking through cave walls, flames chasing your paws. Your home in ruins before you even understand what you've done. There's no guiding voice, no narrator to clean up your mess. Only the distant caw of a raven, and a trail of fading light. The journey ahead isn't heroic, it's penance. Spirit of the North 2 doesn't drag you by the paw, it lets go. And in that freedom, there's beauty and frustration. After escaping the sanctuary, you're dropped into the vast, haunting expanse of the Northern Isles. No quest markers, no map fog suddenly lifting. Just you, your instincts, and the quiet call of something forgotten. The core loop is gentle exploration, punctuated by moments of discovery. Glowing runes hidden behind waterfalls, wisps fluttering between ruined stones or merchant raccoons with gleaming eyes and tiny trinkets. You collect crystal shards to awaken obelisks, which gradually unveil new paths across the land. Each opened area teases with faint light, encouraging you to dive deeper. And beneath that simplicity, a subtle Metroidvania rhythm. Locked doors, unreachable ledges, and shortcuts that only make sense once you unlock new abilities, like gliding across wind currents or phasing through certain barriers. There's a meditative flow here. You're not rushing from fight to fight. You're wandering. Piecing the world back together, one gentle step at a time. But with that comes emptiness, long stretches of silence, too little feedback when you're on the right path, and a world that occasionally forgets to reward your sage curiosity. Still, in its best moments, it feels like a playable poem, one where you write the verses with every step forward. Puzzles in Spirit of the North 2 are like gentle whispers in a loud world. They don't demand much, but you hear them clearly. The game leans into classic find the object, place the object mechanics. Pedestals beg for trinkets. Doors stay sealed until a series of levers or wisps are gathered. It's familiar, maybe too familiar. Some puzzles try to switch things up, offering 3 items and asking you to pick the right one through trial and error. It feels less like a test of cleverness and more like a checkbox. Others hint at Zelda-like mechanics, but never quite take the leap. There's potential here, but much of it goes unexplored, like ancient ruins with nothing inside. That said, exploration offers moments of quiet awe. New abilities, like the glide, add a satisfying layer of verticality and freedom. You start to see the landscape not as scenery, but as a puzzle itself. Cracks in cliffs, forgotten ledges, secret alcoves, all hint at treasures tucked away for the curious. The upgrade system, though, is hit or miss. A sprawling skill tree promises choices, but most nodes are marginal. +1 health here, reduced fall. Damage there. Functional, sure. Impactful, not really. A few hidden runes, however, do spice things up, granting passive buffs or healing perks that genuinely shift how you approach risk. In the end, it's a world that rewards quiet persistence, but rarely dazzles with discovery. Here's the twist. You're a fox, not a fighter. Spirit of the North 2 strips away traditional combat in favor of evasion, timing, and spirit-based interactions. No claws, no combos. Just you, the environment, and a raven who occasionally swoops in like an avian deus ex machina to peck your enemies into submission. It's quirky, but oddly charming. Boss encounters aren't battles so much as cinematic escapes or short environmental set pieces, like fleeing from a corrupted bear through collapsing tunnels or outmaneuvering lava surges with pixel-perfect jumps. These moments should feel epic, but too often they fizzle. Why? Because the platforming sadly just doesn't sing. Movement feels floaty, responsive, but not satisfying. The world invites freedom, but then contradicts itself with guided jump points, glowing blue markers on ledges. Want to leap naturally, using your instincts? Too bad. If it's not glowing, you're probably not making it. It turns what should be a graceful dance through nature into a cautious hopscotch routine. Sometimes the game forgets you're a fox, a creature of elegance and fluidity, and instead treats you like a blocky object, nudging toward predefined outcomes. It's not broken, but it's not liberating either. In a game that wants you to feel the terrain, to bond with the rhythm of wind and stone, the platforming too often feels like walking on rails disguised as freedom. And that's a shame, because every misstep undercuts the emotional bond the game tries so hard to build. Spirit of the North 2 wears Unreal Engine 5 like a fox wears war paint, bold but not always graceful. At a glance, it's breathtaking. Rolling hills bathed in golden light, snow-dusted ruins cracking under time, trees that whisper stories as the wind threads through their leaves. There are moments, fleeting, fragile, where the game feels like a painting in motion. But then the cracks show. Pop-in is frequent, jarringly so. Cliffs appear out of nowhere. Bushes morph into existence. Mid-stride. It's immersion-breaking in the worst way, especially on PS5 where you'd expect polish, not placeholder. Some areas are oddly underlit, pitch black until you edge closer, fiddling with brightness sliders like you're tuning a haunted radio. The art direction also sits in an odd limbo, somewhere between stylized minimalism and near-realistic textures. It doesn't commit either way, and the result feels off. Not ugly, but inconsistent. Like two games trying to speak at once. Audio fares better. The ambient soundscape is subtle. Waves crashing in the distance, trees creaking, that ever-present wind. It wraps you in solitude. But outside of that, musical cues are rare and rarely memorable. Performance-wise, the 60 FPS mode runs smoothly, but not flawlessly. Minor hitches and loading transitions can still pull you out of the flow. In the end, it's an aesthetic experience that almost touches greatness before quietly stumbling back into mediocrity. Spirit of the North 2 is a game of echoes, of beauty remembered but not quite reclaimed. It reaches for something profound, a silent story told through light and motion, a meditative journey wrapped in fur and folklore. And sometimes it gets close. A sunset seen from a cliff's edge, the silhouette of a fox framed against a burning forest, the quiet guilt of releasing something you didn't understand. But as a game, it struggles. The platforming lacks flow. The puzzles rarely challenge. The world, though stunning in its stillness, often feels more like a museum than a living, breathing place. You admire it, but you rarely connect with it. And that's the heartbreak. All the pieces of a modern indie classic are here, but they haven't been shaped into something whole. It's not unplayable. It's not bad, but it's unfinished, not in code, but in soul. Still, if you're someone who plays games for mood, for that soft ache of solitude, for the feeling of being small in a world that once was great. There's something here for you. A quiet kind of magic, fleeting but real. The question is that enough? Would you follow this fox again, knowing how often its paw will slip? Or would you let its spirit fade, like the last wisp on the wind?